My name is Mark Vitorek. I'm the chair of the Access Management Committee. Welcome to our session this morning. We have at least three. We'll hopefully get our fourth speaker here before long. But I think we have a great panel this morning to kind of go through these presentations. We will introduce our first speaker, Thanh Le with VHB, and he's going to speak about safety evaluation of corner clearance at signalized intersections.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Thanh Le. I am with VHB, based in our office in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, thank you very much for being here so early Monday morning. First of all, I want to acknowledge the co-authors on this project. We have Frank and Tim. I think Tim is here, and I also want to thank our team members, safety team members who support the project the last couple of years. So. Alright, so I would like to say to have all the questions after the presentation. So I'm going to go through the presentation first. And so I appreciate it if you hold your questions for the Q&A session at the end. So I just learned a few days ago that some local practitioners actually use the term, the phrase corner clearance to refer to the site like a distant triangles at the intersections. So first of all, I just want to make clear to clarify that in this context, for this research, we use the term corner clearance to describe the distance between intersections and the nearest driveways. So whenever you have a driveway close to an intersections, the distance between the corner and that driveway, we call that corner clearance in this context. So in a desirable, perfect scenario, of course we don't want to have anything near a corner, right? We have traffic coming in and out, so that may impact the operational efficiency, capacity, and of course safety. However, in reality, that's almost unavoidable, pretty much unavoidable, especially in urban area. So there's a need to balance between operational efficiency, safety, and accessibility to businesses and stuff we have near the intersections. So this is a general layout that we have to define some of the elements and variables that we use in this research. So we have the main line and cross street here. This is a signalized intersections. So here we have access point on this side. We call it like approach corner. And of course the distance between the intersections and the access point, that's the corner clearance we are talking about here. And on this side, we call this like receiving corner, and similarly we have corner clearance. And of course, on the other direction, we have the same. So in this research, we only look at the corner clearance on the main line. We do not have data. We were not able to collect data to examine the corner clearance on the minor roads. Okay, some background. So we did some research into this, and it appears that very limited information on the safety effect of corn clearance currently exists. So ethics, the Federal Highway initiated this research under the development of crash burden factor programs, and we started this project about two and a half years ago. Started getting data and putting together, and then collected extra data and just wrapping it up right now. So the main objective of this study is to quantify the safety effects in the form of CMF for corner clearance, or in this context we call it limited corner clearance. And the definition of what is considered limited, we're going to talk about it a bit later. But pretty much CMF in this context is kind of the ratio between number of crashes for intersection with limited corner clearance versus the number of crashes for a base condition, which doesn't have the limitation, the limited corner clearance. And then we also performed a disaggregate analysis to look at different factors to see if any of those have an effect on safety. So we look at geometric configurations, number of lanes, and things like that, and of course level of traffic on main line and the cross streets. And we also performed an economic analysis to estimate the cost benefit. And in terms of methodology, we employed cross-sectional study, because certainly in this context, it's really infeasible to even think about a before and after study, because say when they open the access point or the data associated with the access point, it's pretty much impossible to collect. So data sources. We have two sets of data, one from California and one we got from Charlotte, city of Charlotte, North Carolina. So the California data set, we actually collected for another FHWA funded project a few years ago. So pretty much we go out there, drive along the route, and then we had like a GPS, and then pretty much like a click every time we pass by, and just check everything, like intersections, access point, and everything. So and then we put it in GIS format. So pretty much this project we inherited like that set of data, collected everything. Of course we had the most important elements in the data set is the corner clearance. So we had that, and the reason we went with California is because because we needed extra data, crashes and traffic data, and then we were able to get that from HSIS, but in HSIS data set, only California has the description of the cross street that allowed us to merge the GIS data that we had with HSIS data. So that's the reason. And of course we had to use Google just to marry like both data set put together. And for Charlotte data set, when we started the project, HSIS started working and putting together a data set for city of Charlotte, and everything was still in like GIS format. So we were able to get that from HSIS, and we put together the data, and then we convert everything and code it into KML language file, and then put it into Google, and then we measure the corner clearance and everything in Google. So we use the measuring tool in Google to collect Charlotte data. So this is an example of the data collection effort from for California. So here in the section, we got it from the GS file, we coded it into KML, put it in here, mark it, and then we went through the intersection data file from HSIS. In the intersection file from California, they have they have description of the intersections. We must the name of the cross street, so we were able to look at this and compare with the cross street name here, and then we verify. For example, here we have like upstream road here matched with this. We know that it's correct. So we went ahead and marked all those, and of course we also did some measurement in Google Earth for the turning lane, like the length of the turning bay. For charter data, it was a little bit different. We had everything in GIS, pull it in, and we were able to, because they had crash data and everything in GIS format as well, so we were able to count everything in GIS. But for quantum clearance, we didn't have that, so we had to pull everything, convert it to KML, coded it and put it in Google Earth, and we did manual measurements in Google Earth. So the final data set, we had most of the data from California. We separated by northern and southern California, but in this, we can see this is the final. We collected a lot more than that, but there's some screening and matching data. We used Francis matching method to match the data, to select the final data set, and this is the final. So for development of crash prediction models, so of course we use a correlation matrix to guide the process. And earlier I mentioned, limited quantum clearance. So what's the limit? So we tested that. We tried different numbers. So those are the different thresholds that we use. So pretty much we tested with 50, 75, and all the way up to 250 feet. If there's anything within that, those distances, we consider it limited, and the rest is not limited. So we compare the two and ran all the models and test it out and see what fit best. And in the end, we found that 50 appears to be the best. Actually, for a couple of scenarios, like a couple of class types, we found that 55 feet appears to be a little bit better, but for the sake of consistency and easy application, we went with 50 for all class types. So we also tested different models for separate, we just separate the data for northern, southern California, and we combine northern and southern just for California because we thought they may have some inherent differences that we didn't know. Just make sure that everything looks okay. And in the end, we decided to combine it because all the model parameters appear to be kind of like there's some overlap. There's statistically significant differences. So we just put them together and analyze the whole thing as one data set. So yeah, we use interaction term to perform the disaggregate analysis with traffic volume and geometric characteristics. So this is just a general function form of the NB models. So now it comes to the results. So you can see here to the left. So pretty much we look at on the main line, if you have one corners with limited quantum clearance, which having something having an access point within 50 feet. So to the left, you can see this is on the approach side, approach corner. If you have limited quantum clearance on the approach side, it appears to suggest that there's reductions in crashes over there. And this is certainly, some of you may think, oh, that's kind of odd, counterintuitive, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But on the receiving side, which is you go past the intersection, go on to the other side. So if we have more quantum limited corner clearance, you see like an increase in crashes. So this is for total crashes. Very similarly, we have this pretty much the same results for failure and injury crashes. And I also want to point out that if it's like on the red boxes, this is just like a 55 percent confidence intervals. So if and this is a 1, this is pretty much like same at 1, equal to 1.0. So if it's red, if it's all the boxes are red, that means they are significant at 55% confidence interval level of confidence. And the same, we see the same for rear crashes. And this is side swipes. The black boxes mean not significant at 95 or even 90%. The red here, we see 95%, and the orange one is not good at 95, not significant at 95, but it's good at 90. And this is a right angle, so some of them are pretty much 1, a couple are significant at 90, at least 90. And this is for turning, which is like, all the crashes that were coded as right to the turning right or turning left when it occurred. And this is nighttime. So we see pretty similar results. On the receiving sides, we see an increase in crashes when you have more limited corner clearance. And on the other side, on the approach corners, either it's going down or it's pretty close to 1. So yeah, we also perform a benefit cost. So it's certainly we have so different moving elements out there. So we have to come up with a set of assumptions. So this is what we assume. So we only look at removing the cost benefit of removing access point on receiving corners, because that's where it appears to suggest that if you don't have access point within 50 feet, crashes going down. I mean, if you have something within 50 feet, it's going up. So try to remove it to see what. And we assume that we already install curbs and sidewalk to shift traffic. We assume that there's multiple access points. Say if you have a gas station near a corner, you have maybe multiple driveways, coming in and out. So we assume that this doesn't involve building or opening up a new access point. We just close those that is really close to the corner and divert and shift traffic downstream to the one that is farther away from these connections. And we assume a 10 years service line, service life, and we only look at total crashes cost of total crashes. So the results suggest that this is a cost effective. However, we also want to emphasize that we would like to recommend agency to conduct an economic analysis with the data from an actual site and the actual construction and everything that involves the project. So some discussion. So as I mentioned earlier, on the approach corner, we see a cross direction, so it certainly appears to be counterintuitive. So we have some potential, or at least we come up with some hypotheses. So when we look at the data, like over half of the crashes are rear-end crashes. Like over half of all the crashes we have are rear-ended. And it's very possible that the reduction in rear-end crashes pretty much overweight the the increase of, say, angles. When you have people coming in and out of driveways, you have probably more right angle crashes, but the reduction in rear end crashes is just like overweigh that. So, and then on the approach side, it's possible that, you know, when you have driveways there, people slow down, and when you approach a signalized, especially busy one in urban, like people slow down, and then when they cross the intersection, they speed up. So if there's something coming out on the other side, it's more likely to have a crash. But on the approach side, you know, when people slow down and sometimes barely move, it's less likely to have a crash. That's what we think. And you know, when we included AAT in the models on mainline and cross street. However, we also want to point out that so when signalized shifts and you have like a vehicle turning right and turning left, and it's very likely that those the extra traffic from turning movements is certainly not included in the numbers that we use. So from that level, we think that, you know, when you have more traffic, certainly we have more crashes, like increased crashes down on the receiving end. And another possible possible explanation is, you know, the overall context. Say like areas where you have a lot of gas station businesses near the corners. Maybe the short corner fence is probably just some surrogate for something else that we don't know. Again, like a land use and everything in that area that we don't know, and we don't have data, at least at this point, to look at. So we also have to emphasize that we do not advocate adding access point as a measure, you know, a crash reduction measure at this time, or at least until we have better, more research to look into this and, you know, come with a more conclusive results. So, and yeah, of course, for future research, we hope that you know, it would be wonderful if we can have the speed profiles pulled in section to confirm what we, or at least support what we see here. Say if speed profiles show that on the approach side, you know, we see like a significant slowdown and speed up on the other side, that's certainly support what we see here. So hopefully future research can do that, and of course we hope that we get more data from other areas and other states just to, you know, have the better results. And yeah, we want to just one thing, as I pointed out earlier, this is a part of the PCMS program, and we would like to thank Roya for supporting the project from the beginning and to the end, and of course the reviewers, including Jack Shaw